If you are taking the GREs, if you are taking a language placement test, the test was designed for you. At least I always get nervous if I do something for the first time or the first 2 times. I should have put number 5 a little bit earlier because it's a really good one. But they don't want the time you spent for preparing to influence your test results. That makes you reflect on your own learning, which is a really important skill when becoming an independent learner, and that's what you're doing. This many hours a week, if that's not how you study, forget it. Hi everyone, so glad you're here. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I'm Michi, a PhD student at University of Hawai'i at Manoa, and my partner and I make videos about what it's like to be a grad student, how you can become a graduate student in the US. We want to help you get through your PhD, get into a PhD program, and we show you our University of Hawai'i campus. So if you're interested in any of that, click on our videos, have a look at our other videos, because we'd love to see you in another one. So that was maybe a little bit of a rough intro. You can see I'm in a different place. I'm in my childhood room actually. We remodeled it a little bit, but yeah, this is where I grew up. I'm back home visiting for a month actually, and I'm collecting data for my PhD research project, where I do an experiment with English, with German speakers of English, or German learners of English. But today, I'm actually here to help you prepare for your TOEFL test, prepare for your GREs, prepare for your language placement tests. Any kind of test that you think you don't know how to start preparing for it, you don't know what to expect, what's the best way to prep for it, what's the best way to study, I have the answers, hopefully, to most of your questions. But if you have another one, just put it in the comments and we'll be happy to help you. So I wrote down five and a bonus point tips and tricks that I learned, or things that I know now after taking all of those tests actually in the United States, and hopefully that helps you. So let's see. The very first one, number 1, you need to familiarize yourself with the format of the test, and I think this is the most important thing because that's what you're going to do in the test. Especially if you don't have too much time to prep for it, you want to know what to expect. You can look at those guidebooks. I don't know if you've seen them. There's preparation books. You don't need to buy them, but you can, if you have them, that's good. Look at those. You can find the same materials online for free. Any of those just show you the format of the test. For the GREs, there are GRE prep websites. For the TOEFL test, there are TOEFL test websites. Have a look at what are all those practice questions like, and expect those to be on the test. Usually there's a little bit more than what's going to be in the test, like more different formats that are going to be in it. So try to find different websites and then see what they have mostly in common, because the ones that they have in common are probably the ones that are going to be on the test. Actually, it's also a really good idea to look at other videos on YouTube that prepare you specifically for the GREs, specifically for the TOEFL test, because they will tell you, okay, there's going to be a listening section, there's going to be a speaking section, there's going to be a vocabulary section, a reading section, and then you can prep for those individually. But yeah, what's important for any kind of test, even a language placement test, find out what you have to do, what exactly you have to do. Yeah, so hopefully that helps. My tip number 2 for you, and I think this is also a really important one, you can look up any kind of study guide that you want on the internet. Find one, make one that's for you. Just because very well-respected program or website on the internet says this is how you have to study for your GREs, this is how you have to study for your TOEFL test, you need exactly 6 weeks, you're gonna have to do this many minutes a day, you have to do this many hours a week. If that's not how you study, forget it. It might make you burnt out, it might not address your lifestyle. If you like studying in the morning, do that. If you like studying in 4-hour time chunks, do that. If you like studying in 30 minutes break, 30 minutes break, do that. If you need days off, in between studying, do that. If you don't need them, don't. The only thing that's important is try to backtrack what you should do. So think about, okay, my test is in 6 weeks, in 4 weeks. Look at, okay, there are this many types of tasks that I have to do. If I practice one task each week, will I get through all tasks or not? If I practice one topic each week, will I get through every topic? You can say, I'm going to do 3 days per topic, 3 days per task. All of that is fine. Just know yourself. Don't feel bad for not following a study guide that someone else made, because it's probably not for you. It might be, and that would also be awesome. If you find one online and you think, oh, this is actually totally doable, like that's how I learn, that's how I study, and that sounds like I can keep myself accountable with this plan, then definitely do it. But if it doesn't sound like something you want to do, try to find your own. Yeah, if you need help, if you think you have a study plan and you want to ask me if it sounds feasible, let me know. You can DM me on Instagram, you can put it in the comments. I'm happy to help. I think the only thing with this, one of the most important things with this is at the very end of your study period, maybe try to plan in 3 days, 4 days to a week to do a refresher on everything that you didn't fully understand, everything that you studied a long time ago. It might be that you go through your materials and in one topic you really realize, oh, this is one thing I need more time on than I gave myself. Have that week or the 3 days at the very end where you do that kind of stuff, because I think that really helps. And then my third tip, it kind of goes hand in hand with the first one, but I really want to emphasize that when you study for one of those tests, only study the formats that they give you, or the formats that you're going to have to do. If it's an English test, if it's the TOEFL test, for example, don't try to study all the grammar. Don't try to do grammar exercises. Don't do vocabulary exercises. Those could be good, actually, but I can talk about that later. But don't try to do grammar exercises. Don't try to do anything that you might think is helpful from like your English classes or something. Really only study the formats, because you usually don't have that much time to do like a holistic English practice. In the GREs, for example, you're gonna have to do so much math. You can't do a full math class or the full contents of a math class. Yeah, I guess the only time where you do want to focus on one specific skill that's not necessarily a task on the test is if you realize, okay, I have a massive problem with this kind of thing. I don't know, when you do all your activities and you realize, okay, I don't have the vocabulary that they're going to need from me, then you can do vocabulary exercises. Or for the GREs, you're going to have to do lots of reading comprehension. And there's something called GRE words, which is just a list of super not very frequently used words. If you want to study those, that's fine too, because that maybe gives you a little bit more of a, I don't know, skilled practice. That can be helpful here. But usually, that's not what you want to do. I think another reason for this, for why you want to only study the formats that you're going to be doing, is because it decreases anxiety. If you go into your test and you have only done 1 or 2 practice exercises that are just like the ones that you're going to be doing, yeah, you might be very nervous because you haven't done it many times. At least I always get nervous if I do something for the first time or the first 2 times. If I've practiced something many times, I'm not as nervous because I know how to do it. I've done it before. So yeah, if you know there's going to be a listening task, if you know there's going to be a speaking task, do those speaking tasks, do those listening tasks. And then you know on the test, okay, I'm going to get a listening task. Now I'm going to, do what I used to do when I was practicing. My point number 4, I think this is also a really important one, and don't miss number 5. I should have put number 5 a little bit earlier because it's a really good one. But number 4, be your own teacher. I think as a teacher, you always end up so much smarter than you were before being a teacher. I've noticed that when teaching my classes, once I'm a teacher and have to give my students feedback, then I realize, oh, right, that's how I should write my essays, for example. So I think giving feedback really helps you improve yourself. So if you do these kind of things, then look at them again. Give yourself feedback. Grade yourself. Look at, if I was the test maker of the GREs, this is what I would look out for. This is which grade I would give myself. This is what I want to see, would want to see. Yeah, even give yourself revisions. I always tell my students, okay, this isn't right. To improve, you should probably look at this. To improve, you should probably do this. Give yourself that kind of feedback. Tell yourself, okay, you should probably review this part. Because yeah, that makes you reflect on your own learning, which is a really important skill when becoming an independent learner, and that's what you're doing, right? You're an independent learner studying for your language test or your GREs or for your TOEFL test. You know which one. So, number 1, familiarize yourself with the format. Number 2, find a study schedule that fits you. Number 3, practice exactly what you'll be doing. Number 4, be your own teacher. Number 5, I didn't know this actually before studying what I'm studying right now, which is second language studies. And there's a part or a branch of our department that studies test making. Yeah, test development, test design. And I heard from, that part of the department how much work goes into designing a test. And that's language placement tests, that's GREs, that's the TOEFL test. There's so much research on the TOEFL test, for example. And the reason they do that is they don't want any external variables to influence your test result. And some of those variables are test anxiety. They don't want test anxiety to influence their test. So they design it and test it, research it, to find out which format of test makes it the least influenceable by test anxiety. The same goes with preparation. They don't want the time you spent for preparing to influence your test results. Meaning, they tested their tests, they researched, they did so many studies on their own tests to find out a way to make it very not influenceable by how much time the people took to prepare. So they had thousands of people take those tests, and all those people also give feedback to the test makers. So if they were unhappy with something in the test, if they felt like their test score at the end didn't really reflect what their abilities are, the test makers also took that into account. If you are taking the TOEFL test, if you are taking the GREs, if you are taking a language placement test, the test was designed for you. And it was designed so that you'd get the best test score that you deserve. They don't want to give you a worse test score than you actually deserve. They don't want to say that your English is worse than it actually is. They don't want to say that it's better than it actually is because they want a correct placement for you. But those tests established themselves because they are very, very accurate. So yeah, if you feel nervous about the test, hopefully this is something that can help you feel less nervous about it. Because if you think about it, they just want you to get your correct score. They don't want your anxiety or time of preparation that you had that you decided to take to influence your result. They want to accurately portray your results. And I think that's a really good thing. So yeah, hopefully that helps. I told you I had one bonus point, and I think it's a really important one. So let me tell you this one. I think even though you hear it differently on almost every website, don't stress over time. Obviously, time is gonna be restricted, and obviously it's a lot to do with the time that you get. It's difficult to do everything in time, but that's, as I said earlier, that's intended. Meaning, you're not supposed to take, 5 minutes for every single task that you're given. You're not supposed to spend 5 minutes over every single math problem, but you are allowed to think about it. You don't have to be a machine and just say, this is the answer, this, I know this, I know that. You're allowed to think about it. Everyone has to think about it. Everyone is in the same position as you are. If you think you're thinking about it for way too long, if you think you're somehow stuck, you're not getting it, it's okay to skip. go back to it later. But if you're not feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you're actually just working on it and thinking about it, do it. It's a lot better to not have time for the last two things that you have to do rather than doing most of the responses sloppy because you're just thinking you have to go through it. So even though, yes, there's a time restriction and yes, it is difficult to get everything done in time, think about it. That's the same for everyone. That's the time the test makers know it takes. Yeah, don't rush. There's really no benefit in going through every single task and thinking, oh, I'm not fast enough, I need to get through this, I need to do it faster. Just do it on your own time, think about it, think clearly, think through it. Don't try to waste time either, but yeah, don't try to rush. So yeah, that's what I got for you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Let me know if you have questions. Thank you for being here at the very end of the video. Subscribe if you want to see more of these. I can't wait to see you in the next video. And check out these ones. Hopefully this helped you.